I made my way back to the Slytherin common room after my pleasant conversation with Professor Weasley, assuming that I would find Sebastian there. And right I was. Sebastian was reading a book by the fireplace, just like he was the day I met him. I moved closer to him to make him aware of my presence, but he seemed too indulged in his book that he didn't notice me. Ahem, I coughed, making Sebastian's face meet mine with a smile.
Ah, my new charge. Fancy seeing you here?
He greeted. What are you reading? I curiously asked.
Oh, this? It's just a spell book.
He closed the book and held it next to his body, while standing up from the sofa he was seated on. Seems interesting enough. I might have to borrow that one when you're done with it. You know, as I am new to magic and all, I said to him with a small smile. He chuckled. It was his adorable laugh that made me blush just a little.
As much as I would love to, it's actually from the restricted section, so I can't.
Well. Sneaking into the restricted section must be a very serious part of your rule-breaking hobby, I suppose. I spoke in a confident way as I folded my arms. He folded his arms in return.
You seem quite interested in rule-breaking yourself. Is that why you've come to see me?
I rolled my eyes. I wouldn't want to be expelled on my first day, would I? I actually came here because Professor Weasley wants you to accompany me to Hogsmeade. As you might have heard, I lost a lot of supplies when I was attacked by a certain dragon yesterday, and so I need them all back.
Did she ask me to accompany you, or did you specifically request me?
His lips formed a small smirk. She asked. But if it elevates your ego, then yes, I specifically chose you, oh dear Sebastian. I grabbed his hands and rubbed them, which made him chuckle.
All right, well, I have nothing better to do right now. Might as well have some fun in Hogsmeade.
He let out a chuckle and motioned me to follow him. Great choice, Mr. Sallow. I walked behind him, seeing Sebastian's eyes widen a bit at the mention of me calling him Mr. Cute. We exited the castle, and for the first time I could see the beautiful landscape surrounding it. My mouth must have been wide open in awe as Sebastian's voice distracted me from the view.
Careful now. Wouldn't want flies in that pretty little mouth of yours.
I knew that he was jokingly teasing me, but when he said those last words, I couldn't help but feel a little spark in my stomach. I had known this man for a day, and there was already slight tension forming, for some odd reason I couldn't understand. He must have noticed my slightly flustered face as a smirk formed on his lips, and he started walking. Is that how you talk to all the girls here? You must be the school's very own heartthrob. I refound my confidence to tease him back.
I've had my fair share. Why? Did I already steal your heart?
He teased. Don't even think about it, I scoffed, and we continued our trip to Hogsmeade. Almost the entire path to Hogsmeade crossed grassy fields and past the Forbidden Forest. The scenery was truly breathtaking. I saw so many flowers as well as lacewing flies, toadstool caps, hippogriffs, and so much more. At a certain moment, we saw a carriage being pulled by these black horse-looking creatures, which Sebastian called thestrals.
I've always found thestrals pulling a carriage a bit grim, though I suppose most people can't actually see them.
Sebastian spoke up. You mean that not everyone can see those black creatures? I curiously asked.
You can see them too.
He asked, surprised. I simply nodded my head in confusion.
Only people who have seen death can see them. So you've seen someone die then?
I gasped slightly and was reminded of my family. I could see thestrals because I saw my parents and sisters die in a car accident. My family, I mumbled, a sad look forming on my face.
I'm sorry to pry.
Sebastian looked at me apologetically. I shook my head. Don't worry about it. You've seen someone die too then. He avoided my gaze and stared at the ground.
Let's continue.
We finally made it to Hogsmeade, after what felt like a very long but rewarding journey. It was nothing, yet everything I expected. However, the village looked way more marvellous than the stories my parents had told me.
Pretty impressive, huh?
Sebastian stated. I nodded with a chuckle. If only one could bottle the magic of this place. I mumbled just loud enough for Sebastian to hear. It made him chuckle.
Well, I'll let you get all the things you need. Meanwhile, I'm going to see if I can find something for my sister.
You have a sister? I gave him a confused look.
I certainly do. A twin sister even.
He proudly announced. Is she a Slytherin too?
She is. Or, well, she was. She's not well at the moment, but she will get better soon and be back at Hogwarts.
Hearing him say that gave me a small feeling of guilt, which Sebastian seemed to notice quickly.
Don't worry about it, Eve. Let's get started with our duties. I'll meet you in the town circle when you're done. We can grab a butterbeer after. Or if we're feeling a bit daring, we could even try beetleberry whiskey.
He winked and walked away. Getting drunk on a school day? This man surely loved not playing by the rules. I didn't know yet whether it was just a small habit of his or something I should be very concerned about, but only time would be able to tell. I made my way to the magic neep and tomes and scrolls to get all the supplies I needed to get. The last shop I decided to visit was Ollivander's, to get my own wand. I purposefully went to the other shops first, because I wanted to keep the best for last. I was finally going to get a magic wand of my own. My sisters and I used to fantasize all the time about what our wands would look like and what core they'd have. That would all stop today. In a way it was saddening, but in another way it was also healing, finally leaving that fantasy behind. I carefully pushed the door to Ollivander's open, as if not being sure whether I was worthy of actually being there. In the back of the shop, there was an older man storing away boxes, presumably containing wands as well. After a few seconds, he noticed me, and he raised his eyebrows, giving me an excited stare.
I finally get to meet a new Tuttle again.
He spoke up. You know my last name? I furrowed my eyebrows.
Of course I do. I remember every wand I have ever sold. And well, you look exactly like your parents.
I started getting tears in my eyes. If only they were here to come get my wand with me. There was a small moment of silence.
I assume you're here to get your first wand.
Ollivander spoke up.
You seem a bit older than the usual Hogwarts student, but I am certain that we will still be able to find you the perfect match.
He disappeared into the back of the shop for a few minutes and came back with a dark blue box. Opening the box in front of me, there was a dark brown wand in there.
Phoenix feather, wood of a lime tree, 9.5 inches, slightly yielding. Let's give it a try, shall we?
He motioned me to take the wand and give it a swish. As soon as I did, a lot of boxes fell down. I covered my mouth and gave him an apologetic look. I'm so sorry, sir. He shook his head with a smile.
Don't worry, dear. It seems that your magic is a tad more powerful. Perhaps very powerful. I think I know exactly what wand you need.
He disappeared again and came with a bigger black box. The wand that was in it was longer than the other and white.
This one is springy, made of hazel wood, 11 inches, and has a very powerful core made of dragon heartstring. It's one of the most powerful wands I have in my shop. Powerful wands like this are usually not a match for students, but perhaps, seeing as you are a peculiar case, it might be the perfect match.
My thoughts started running wild at the words powerful and peculiar. Was I perhaps a special witch? I took the wand without hesitation and felt a powerful feeling making its way through my body. This is the wand.
It seems you are more than just a normal witch. You're here to accomplish great things, Miss Tuttle.
And with that, our encounter ended. I went to the town circle, as Sebastian had instructed me to do, and met up with a very happy-looking boy. I'm going to assume by the look on your face that you found the perfect gift for your sister, I chuckled.
I'm going to assume by the white wand in your hand that you finally have your own...
Sebastian got interrupted by the very loud sound of stomping. The ground started to vibrate as the heavy steps seemed to get closer and closer.